oh, well, we've been oppressed for so long, and Brother Floyd lost his life to the hand of a police officer. So, if a few police officers got to die, then so be it. What? Is that your mindset? Is that your mindset? Do you not know how many good men and women put this uniform on every single day and go out here so you can sleep at night? And that's your mindset? Stop. Oh, I hate the fact that I can't go out here and just be myself without being hunted. That's not the reality of the situation. That's what somebody wants you to believe. That somebody may even be you, because I'm not even going to blame media for all of this. There are people out there who just want to be the victim. Hey, what is up, everybody? It is your boy, AJ. Listen, once again, we have to pay homage to our sponsor, Thin Line Anthem. They make amazing products. Not only do they make amazing products, but they're specifically created for first responders. So if you're listening to this, you're a first responder, you're someone that has a strenuous job, you're someone that just wants to get into shape, make sure you go to their website, thinlineanthem.com, and check them out and use our promo code, It's Needed, all capital letters, no spaces, for a certain percentage off your entire order. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Peace.
Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. What up, AJ?
I can't call it, man. You got your little radio voice going on, so I'm excited to hear why our setup looks the way it does today. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Why it looks bootleg, bro? Oh, man.
It looks special.
Yeah, hey, so our listeners and our audience know this is just proof in the dedication, man, because I'll tell you about why our setup looks so bootleg today. But Billy, what's going on, bro? Go ahead and unmute yourself, because we bootleg over here as well.
No, we're making it through. We're making it through.
Okay.
Oh, I was supposed to mute myself, actually, because you could pick. I don't know. Anyways, so here's the reason for the bootleg. Now, I want y'all to I want to preface this and let y'all know how committed we are to this podcast, first and foremost.
Dedicated.
Yeah. This week, we've had a week. I mean, AJ, I don't know if you want to put your business out there or not, what you had to do yesterday.
I just had some legal stuff I had to take care of. Yeah. Nothing crazy, but just something, I can talk about it on a future podcast.
Yeah. So AJ had to do some legal stuff. So he was tied up there. Billy actually has to run out of the studio as soon as we finish doing this to go do some other filming for something. And I work 40 hours a week still. So, I don't get off until about midnight usually every night. And so that means I don't get home till about 12:30, probably in bed around 1 a.m. So I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning, so 5 hours, and we're shot down here to the studio so we can get this podcast recorded out to you guys today.
That's right.
Because we don't want to miss. So anyways, on that note, I had to preface all that because I wanted y'all to know how much we care about y'all before I tell y'all about my gaffe today. So we get in here this morning and
I already know. Already know where you going.
Bro, we chilling. I'm thinking we good. We solid. Billy's getting set up. You know what I mean? I'm still in my pajamas. I don't know if the camera going to be able to see me today. I got my little red shorts on and red socks on. I'm thinking like, let's go, bro. I'm dedicated, motivated. You know what I mean? Bro, I go to pull my laptop out of my bag.
Ain't there.
I'm like, wow. I was like, wow.
Ain't there.
I'm like, okay, you gotta be kidding me. But me being my brilliant self.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Me getting my Einstein on when Billy thought there was no hope. When the producer thought there was no hope, I was like, hey, don't even trip. I was like, why don't we just record from the phone? I was like, and then Billy was like, well, you got the headphones. And so when I went to Minnesota a few weeks back, I had dropped my phone and broke my phone while I was out there. So I had got a new iPhone. So I just left the new iPhone box in my backpack. So I was like, ooh, me being my Einstein self, I knew it was going to come in handy one day. Hadn't opened it since I took the phone out. So I had a pair of headphones in there because I lost my AirPods on the last trip I took. So that's another story, bro. I just lost
his own TV show. I mean,
bro, I need my own personal assistance, bro.
Hey, I know Billy was fuming.
Oh, just looking at him right now, he looked like he's still hot, bro. I can see the pulse in his neck, bro. I can see the.
Y'all know Billy was
I'm just
mad,
waiting for the
mad.
next catastrophe. I'm just, today's production is duct taped and stapled together, but we're going.
Here we go. We're going to get it together.
Bruh. So anyway, yeah, man, I pulled the headphones out, bro. That's why. So if you guys can see, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, that's why I'm holding my phone like this, because we're really recording via Zoom from our phones. But thank God for technology, and because I don't know what we would do. And thank God for God giving me a mind to think quick on my feet.
Oh, here we go
to produce this.
Here we go.
So anyways, man, what's new with you guys?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm kind of like in this somber state, just by everything going on. So that's my vibe today. That's my vibe. How about yours?
Man, I'm with you, bro. I am very in a somber state. For those of you guys that are tuning into this, I'm sure if you guys haven't already seen, there was an attempted assassination on two LA County sheriff's officers as they were just chilling in their cars. So we're going to get to that in a second, because that's definitely something to be talked about. This might be another passion episode. Actually, this is going to be another passion episode. And our passion episodes, I found, go hard. But on that note, though, I'm a little upset right now. I'm a little pissed off. For the first time, we've been doing this podcast almost 2 years, I think. Had one negative review, and that person that gave us a negative review, it was like a 4-star review, and it was only because they mentioned that, I talk about our religion or my faith a little bit too much. I say religion because that's what they use. That's what the word they use. I don't call my faith a religion, call it a relationship. But anyways, but he was still cool. Even that bad review was still 4-star, and that dude still loved the podcast. And so to each his own. I respect everybody's beliefs. All good. I wasn't even tripping. But we had our first actually negative review comment. I'm gonna call him out too, because
put it out there.
It's
put it
our
online.
It's our podcast. We do what we want to do. So somebody went on there and said that they came. It was actually one of your followers. So shame on AJ.
Hey, I got some diehard emotional followers. So
shame on AJ's followers, because he said AJ brought me to this podcast. I tried. he did say that.
That guy held his hand like, yeah, come here.
Yeah, he did say. Yeah, he did. He said I was brought here by AJ, and I tried to do it, but I just can't. Something like that. And so then he goes on to say, basically, we lost him when we start talking about the Jacob Blake and how he was shot 7 times, and then how we went talking about the Breonna Taylor. But before we move to the LA County Sheriff's assassination attempt, I got to say this, because this is what makes me so angry. And it kind of goes back to the post I made yesterday on Instagram, if you guys haven't been able to see it. We've come to live in a world where if I don't say what you want to hear, then you automatically going to write me off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what baffles me, this is what I don't understand, is I'll do a post. I'll make a post on Instagram, social media, whatever you want to call it. And when I do that post, people will come on there and they'll say something that is like completely unrelated to the post. And then a lot of my followers will jump in the comments box and thank God for you guys, because you'll be like, you must not have watched that post, because what you're saying is irrelevant to what he's actually talking about.
Right.
And that's kind of how I felt about the statement for the podcast was, first of all, the person said, well, those guys could have tackled Jacob Blake. They had every opportunity to tackle Jacob Blake.
Which we addressed.
Which we did address, but I'll say it again. There's nothing worse than a person that says that this is what they should have done that's never been in the situation that those officers before. Now, granted, I do Tillman takes. I do breakdowns. I've, from time to time said this is another option of what the officers could have did, but that's coming from another officer that knows tactics and that has been in similar situations. Right. And when I say those things, I'm saying it from a place of experience. I'm not saying it from a place of lack of experience. It's like going on to the football field and telling Tom Brady to hit the out route, because this is what I saw from, the comforts in my own home, as opposed to being on that field and having to see over 6'8" linemen. And what he saw was he had a go route. And so that's one thing that disturbs me the most is people will try to say, well, he should have tackled that person. How do you know what they could have? How do you know they didn't try to tackle him already? I showed a video last week of officers that were fighting with the guy on the side of the freeway, and they tried to tackle that dude, and he got out of their grips and was still able to get to the car and pull a gun out. You know, we had Henner Gracie on a few months back, and Henner Gracie will be the first to tell you that if you're not skilled in any type of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or mixed martial arts, it's very easy to defeat somebody that's trying to tackle you.
For sure.
So that was my first qualm with that comment. My second one was the Breonna Taylor one, and I addressed this in my video. We have so many different people out there that want to sit here and say, justice for Breonna Taylor, justice for Jacob Blake, justice for this, justice for that. And like I said, I don't mind you saying that. Like, if you say justice for this person, all good. I can get behind you. But I'll only get behind you if I've known you've done the proper research necessary that goes into that case. Unfortunately, these cases calls for research. You can't just come out and say just for this person and not actually know what went into it. I mean, I could probably say a name of this person and people not even know even how they were killed by a police officer.
Right.
They just know the name, what everybody else has been chanting, and they don't even know how this person was even killed by police. And so we live in a point in time where, and this will kind of lead us into the LA County shooting, is we live in a point in time where activism has become more of a fad, more of, you know, being popular than actually being what it truly was designed to be, which is going out there, making and doing the work that goes into the activism, like your Dr. Martin Luther King's, like your Malcolm X's, like your Cesar Chavez's, and so forth and so on. So you can see it's early, but I'm already hyped this morning, bro, because they got me mad right now.
Yeah, man. So I watched a documentary last night on Netflix, and it's called The Social Dilemma. I don't know if either you or Billy have seen this yet, but it's terrifying. And it basically talks about the power and influence that social media has and how it's led to like a lot of these current events. They didn't specifically say everything that's going on with the police right now, but I mean, you could basically pick up that because of social media and the influence they have and the power they have over the way that we being the masses thinks, that essentially they're the reason behind all this, just because they subliminally change the way that we think, like 1% at a time, right? Like they might spend 1 to 6 months just trying to change the way that you think by 1%. And an example of that is, we've all seen it, right? If we're on our web browser and we're looking at washer machines, right? Like my washer machine broke. I'm looking at new washer machines. When you hop on Instagram, when you hop on Facebook, what's the first ad that's going to pop up on your Facebook or Instagram?
Washing
machines, drying machines. And I've had it to the point where I've had conversations with people about things, right? Like a new gun or a safe or a printer or a laptop or whatever. Never searched it before, like from that conversation, never searched it, never typed it in anything. And I've hopped on my social media and that stuff has popped up, which makes me believe that they're even like listening to us, which they didn't even touch into that. But what they said in this documentary is what these companies will do is they'll shell out millions and millions of dollars and say, hey, make this type of person, right? Whatever type of person AJ is, make him eventually my customer. So what they'll do is they'll spend, all right, we got 1%. 6 months later, we got another percent, until they get a certain percentage of you change to where you're like, you know what? I think I do need new carpet or, you know, whatever, because this ad keeps popping up and now you've changed the way that I thought. And they're doing exactly that with policing, right? You hop on social media, there ain't no feel-good stories that are getting shared. There ain't no realistic policing shows, especially now with all the cops and live PD getting canceled. Like, there's no shows that really show you what's going on. The only thing that we're getting fed right now, as far as information about the police goes, is what? Brutality, racism, all of this negativity. And I'm here to tell you from experience, somebody who knows police officers on a worldwide basis, who has good friends that are police officers all over the world, that's not what it is. That is not what it is. But yet we're being spoon-fed it in the masses to make us believe that this is happening every single day, which in return, what? We have uprising. People are upset. They're pulling on your heartstrings, right? Police officers are killing minorities at an alarming rate. You see it over and over and over again. And any good person who sees that over and over and over again and feels that that's true is going to stand up and go, you know what? We need to fix this. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to protest. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do what I got to do to change this, not knowing that it's not the reality. And the sad truth about what I just said is people will write us off just by hearing us say that. Just by hearing us say that. The truth. I'm not just saying that to say it. Hopefully y'all know me well enough. If police officers were corrupt as a whole, or racist as a whole, or the system was systemically set up for whatever, I would be one of the first to stand up and go, yeah, hey, this is what it is. We need to stand up and we need to do what's right. And the reason I say that is because that's why I got into the field. The same thing with Ryan. But people don't want to hear that. People don't want to believe it. People don't want to see it, because they're so emotionally involved in something that's not true. And it's disturbing. It's beyond disturbing, because now people are losing their lives, right? Yep. And I already know what people are going to say. Well, we've been losing our lives the entire, for whatever. And, George Floyd lost his life. And you're right. You're absolutely right. But at what point do you stop being, as my man Ryan said in his video, and not to take your thunder, but at what point do you stop being a police officer, or do you stop being a whatever, and do you start being a human being that cares about other human beings, right? Like, you're leading with hate at this point. Oh, well, we've been oppressed for so long, and Brother Floyd lost his life to the hand of a police officer. So, if a few police officers got to die, then so be it. What? Is that your mindset? Is that your mindset? Do you not know how many good men and women put this uniform on every single day and go out here so you can sleep at night? And that's your mindset? Stop.
Bro.
Stop. You're the reason why we're in this situation. There's so many people who are leading with hate right now. Oh, I hate the fact that I can't go out here and just be myself without being hunted. That's not the reality of the situation. That's not. That's what somebody wants you to believe. That somebody may even be you, because I'm not even going to blame media for all of this. There are people out there who just want to be the victim. Yeah. So stop. And have to stop.
Oh, man. Go ahead. My bad.
Nah, look, I go all day, man.
Man, here's the crazy part about that, man, is like, the reality of it. I heard a phrase yesterday said that, well, though I hate to say this, anytime somebody leads with this, I hate to say it, that they're going to say something else crazy, is that, but they were like, though they were casualties of war, this was bound to happen. I'm like, seriously? A casualty of war, huh?
What?
Because and then they're like, and then the words that follow out of their mouth is, well, police been hunting us down for decades or centuries. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, and I've said this before, I know for a fact that policing has not come up from a historical, noble past. Yep. I know that. I've said it. I'll be the first to tell you that.
Yep.
But when I signed up for policing, it's not like I got the application. It was like, yep, I'm about to go out there and start hunting black people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yep, right. I'm about to go out there and start hunting Hispanic people.
Yep.
Like, no, that wasn't it. And it wasn't like when I got to the academy and they were like, yep, this is how you hunt black people down. Right. This is how you hunt Hispanic people down. And it wasn't like when I got out of the academy and then they start training me and they're like, yep, this is how you start hunting black people down here on the street, Ryan, for real.
Like, it's this whole system set up.
Like this collaborative system that just teaches us how to go out there. Now, don't get me wrong. An individual corrupt person will exude corruptness from an individual standpoint. So with that being said, anybody has the capability of doing evil, hateful things, and that includes somebody in law enforcement.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
To say that it's a systematic problem, I think that there's systematic issues that exist in our country as a whole, but to narrow it down and say that law enforcement in and of itself is systematically racial, I can't say that. And it's funny, I get this question all the time that says, I'll do these media requests or interviews and stuff, and I know they're getting to the question. I know it's coming to it,
Always do.
and AJ, you've been there, but they always get to. So Ryan, so tell me about an incident where you've actually experienced racism internally. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, I ain't really experienced like racism from an internal perspective. Have I experienced things that might be a little bit prejudiced? Yeah. Have I experienced things that might be a little bit more stereotypical? Yes. You know what I mean? But have I experienced true racism where I know in a person's heart that they have hate for a certain group because of the color of their skin? I can't say I've experienced that as a police officer, at least internally. Yep. And so these are some of the facts. Now, again, I'm just speaking from Ryan Tillman, and that's what angers me, is that when I try to say something, people will come back and say, well, you are just being a voice, or you're just being a puppet for the rest of the system. Yep. No, I'm being Ryan Tillman, who has experienced these things on an individual level. Yep. Maybe if somebody else experienced that, then by all means, say something, speak up on it. I don't mind you doing that. I love to have the dialogue with you. But when you try to get on me because I'm telling you what the reality of the life that I live is, nah, don't give me that. And so, and then going back to the social aspect of it, what makes me upset with the social aspect of it is I know that to be true, bro. It's corrupt. Like this whole AI, artificial intelligence stuff, that stuff is real.
Trillions of dollars.
Trillions of dollars. We talk about the media censoring, or social media platforms censoring positive message. That stuff is real. It happened to me. I kid you not. Our Instagram page it's still thriving. It was booming, but at one point we were seeing followers after followers after followers. We did one podcast episode about an unpopular topic with influencers, which was human trafficking, human sex trafficking. Yep. I kid you not. When we did that podcast, our traction came to almost a complete stop. So much so we started seeing negative traction. Yep. And I was like, what the heck happened? And I went back and I'm trying to look at our like what's going on, what was the change up, and it was that day. The other thing about that is, not to say I'm some big celebrity or something like that, because I'm not at all by any means, but we've done a lot of good media work. I've gotten a lot of interviews with major networks, ABC, Oprah, you name it. Man, we've requested for a blue check a couple times, and I could care less about the blue check. The only reason I look for the blue check is more so for that extra validation, because unfortunately social media is at a place now where people look for those things to validate you when you come in certain doors. Right. So I've done it, and I've proven that I can still have success without it. But what I'm getting at is that they will shoot my stuff down because it goes against the popular narrative out there, which is to banter against police officers. Hey, won't come to my page. You'll see occasionally where I'll say police messed up and I'll call a bad police officer out. But people know when you look at my page is not out there bashing police officers. So when people see that, when the all powers that be that are in charge of these social media platforms, they see that, they'll shut me down every single time, despite what they might look up on my name. Because if you look my name up on the internet, you'll see it all over the place nowadays. And that is supposed to be one of the qualifications in order to get this verification. But yet you'll verify somebody that's out there twerking. You'll verify, I went there. You'll verify somebody that's out there twerking. You'll verify somebody that's out there half butt naked. You know what I mean? Showing that have no single talent in their whole being, other than the fact that they look attractive and they can wear a bikini. You'll verify that person because everybody likes to look at them, though, right? So we've lost all validation as a society. We put our emphasis on things that are not important, and we've taken away the value of the things that are important, which, if you go back to biblical principles, that's biblical. When things that are once historically known as being good, when those things are looked at as being bad, and when bad is being looked at as being good, we have a problem, folks, and that's exactly where we are. Y'all can see that this is another passion episode. Forgive me.
And think about this. I haven't had access to my Facebook page for 4 months, maybe.
Wow.
To this day, no answers, no nothing. And I heard from a very reliable source that I won't get it back until after November. And we all know what's happened in November. Well, not to be that guy, right? Not to be that guy, but that's my world. That's my realistic life that I'm living right now. And once again, I don't do the whole social media. I'm not like super involved with it, contrary to most people believe. Like, I use it as a tool to pump out positivity and to pump out what's really going on in the world.
Yep.
And it's
Exactly.
it's stripped away, right? Nah, we don't really like what's going on right now. And they talk about it in this documentary. The documentary is crazy, man. It's like a 2 hour long documentary. It's wild. But they said that fake news spreads 6 times faster on Twitter than real news.
Wow.
Think about that. You're 6 times more likely to be fed, right? Not shown, but you're being strategically fed. These platforms know what colors to use to bring you closer, how bright they want the screen to be, what font they want the letters to be, what language they want to use, what advertisements to feed you to get your endorphins going and to open your eyes up a little bit more. And then they slide one right in there when you least expect it and they draw you in with it. That's what we're dealing with right now.
And there's
That's what
people
we're
that,
dealing
and
with
that's
right
what
now.
they do is they create fake news. That's what. It's not like they
Oh,
just
it's
so
a
happen
thriving
to.
business.
Yeah,
It is a
it's not like they
thriving
just so
business.
happen to misquote some information or they didn't get all the facts. No,
Yep.
they're strategically creating this fake news, and so
Yep.
the question becomes, well, how do we get beyond the fake news? How do we go out there and find real news? And you honestly want to know how to do that? Dialogue, have conversations with real people.
Yep.
Go to the source. Go
Yep.
to the people that actually are doing these jobs. If I want to know more about the medical industry and about COVID-19, I've learned that, you know what? Google may not be the best place to start.
Oh, they talk about Google on there. They talk about Google on this same documentary as one of the #1 suspects. They say depending on where you're at in the world, your Google search results will differ. Your
Bro.
Google search results will differ. So if you being out in California, Google the same thing that me being in Ohio Googles, the search results will differ based off of who's pumping Google the right amount of money to get me to click on their link.
Bro,
They
that's
break-
why when
they-
you talk about
Clickbait.
clickbait and all this stuff, like that stuff is real. And so the only way to really solve this, I had a good conversation with a friend of mine this week. And when it was actually after the ambush of the 2 officers, good friend of mine, I love this dude, and this is, and I respect him, and I really want to emphasize on that word respect before I say what I'm about to say, because of the dialogue that I had with him. This is why I respect him. So he had made a post or on his story that said Breonna was also ambushed, and so I responded back, being the friend that I am, and was like, bro, I love you. I love you so much. But at the same time, Breonna Taylor, what the media, what everybody has us thinking about that situation is not necessarily true. There's a lot of other facts that have come out since then that I've done my own research on, that I've actually been able to kind of squander what the narrative is out there right now regarding Breonna Taylor. On top of that, when I do that research, I also couple that with my own training and experience as a police officer, and then I'm able to see whether or not what they did was realistic or not. So when I did those things, I was able to determine, like, hey man, this narrative that's being pushed that Breonna Taylor was falsely gunned down and, you know, it was the wrong house that the police officers rat on. I've learned that that wasn't a true statement. So when we say that she was also ambushed, that's not the right context, because it's not true. These officers that were working in LA County Sheriff's Department, they were sitting in their patrol vehicle, literally just making sure everything is going smoothly for the
Watching
metro
like a train
station
or something like that.
Yeah, metro station, and a guy walks up on it and literally shoots him. That's an ambush. And so the reason I go back to that statement that I say with my friend that I respect him is because one of the things he told me after was like, you know what, Ryan? You know what, Till? That's what he calls me. He was like, you know what, Till? Man, I respect you, bro, because, you know, I'm not in the field of law enforcement, so I don't know. And so I always look for your Tillman takes in order to understand what it is that you do and what it is your take is on it, because it helps me learn as a civilian, so that way I can actually see another side of it, one in which I would have never seen.
Good.
Which brings me to another point of this passion episode, because I'm hot this morning, which brings me to another point, is that The reason I do these Tillman takes, y'all, and if you're an officer listening to this, I've had people, and I know people out there, criticize me for it, other officers, because it's like, why is he out there doing breakdowns of police videos Monday morning quarterback? But the reason I do it is for that situation, and that situation alone is because I know that there are civilians out there. I've had it happen more than one time where civilians will reach out to me and tell me thank you, because now that I've done a Tillman take, they actually have a newfound perspective on why we do what we do as police officers. And so one of the reasons why we're in the situation as officers now is because we made our own bed that we have to sleep in. We don't get out in front of stuff quick enough. I understand the old practice of it. I understand the whole idea that we got to do the investigation. I still understand that. But at the same time, when you have people that have cell phones that can capture things immediately and post it to a social media platform immediately, gone are the days where we can't get ahead of these things fast enough, because somebody else is going to control our narrative, especially when you have these media outlets that are trying to push fake news. So the reason I do Tillman takes is specifically so that way these civilians can get a different perspective on things. And one, I've noticed, because they have that trust in me, whether because I'm a personal friend or not, they trust and value my opinion. So that's what's going to help them decipher their way out of the fake news and know and understand what's really going on as opposed to what's not going on. All right, I'm off my soapbox. My bad.
No, 100%, man. Like you're on fire right now, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry to interrupt the podcast, but I have to do so because this podcast would not be possible if we did not have sponsors like Thin Line Anthem. Thin Line Anthem is a supplement company that has helped me get to my fitness goals and my health needs. They provide protein, they provide pre-workouts, you name it, they have it. And so make sure, if you're not doing so already, go to thinlineanthem.com, order your stuff now. Make sure you use promo code It's Needed, all caps, no spaces, so that way you can get a discount as well. Hope to see you guys at that end of our fitness challenge. Thanks again, and God bless.
And let's talk about the power of influence, right? Like, I have a story to share, like a personal story to share how much power and influence not only people, but, you know, these major social media platforms have. So I was hanging out with a good friend of mine who's biracial. His mother is white, his dad is black, right? Same exact shoes as me. You could tell he's a little more biracial than I am. He's got darker skin. He actually has like dreadlocks or whatever, right? So I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you know, you the only cop that I mess with for real." And you know, he's wise enough to listen to me, right? Not saying that I'm the all-knowing, but he's wise enough to at least listen to somebody from the inside, right? Like, he could easily write me off even though we're friends, and he could just be like, "Hey, I don't want to talk about law enforcement with you. We could talk about football, whatever." But he doesn't. He's like, "Yeah, let's talk about the stuff and we'll have a good dialogue." So we're talking about this, and he's like, what it all breaks down to is, he's like, "Man, white people are just racist for real." And he's like going on and on and on about like white people this, white people that, man. And he's like, you know what I'm saying? All the time I'm walking down the street and letting white ladies be grabbing their bags like I'm gonna snatch it. And he's like going on and on and on. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, man, this ain't adding up. So I let him finish, and I go, "Hey, so your mom is racist? Is that what you're telling me right now?" He was like, nah, she different. He's like, you know, yours is too, and a couple other people. And I'm like, do you hear yourself, bro? Like, do you really hear what you're saying? So when we talk about the power of influence that these large companies and businesses have, because ultimately that's what it is, right? Like, does Facebook have influence? Absolutely. Does Instagram? Yes. Twitter, TikTok, all of them, they absolutely have influence. But you know who has the real influence? The people paying them to influence you, right? And this documentary even broke down how we're the ones being sold, which is crazy, right? Like, we're the products that are being sold. Our minds are what's being sold. These large companies are like, well, I want to buy 10,000 people to change their mind about politics or change their mind about products. I'm in the computer business. I want to change their mind about technology. I'm in the whatever, pro-life, right? Like, whatever you want to imagine. There are people out there with millions and millions of dollars shelling it to these companies and these organizations to change your mind 1% at a time, 1% at a time, and 1% at a time until you eventually fall for the trap. And that's why we're in the situation we're in today. There used to be a point where people knew, right? They knew a majority of police officers were good people doing a hard job. They knew that. There used to be a time, no matter what your race, sexual orientation, gender, none of that. They knew, you know what? Yeah, that video looks bad, but police officers are just put in a really tough position sometime. And I don't know what really led up to that situation. But now it's like we're being changed so much and we're being force fed all of this false information that we automatically assume that the police officers were just so rogue or so racist or so sexist or so, whatever, that they were just out there looking to hurt somebody. So my question is, or your question should be, is how do I become the influence, right? Because this entire podcast, we've been talking about what? Essentially, the power of influence. The power of influence and how it influences the masses. So your question to yourself when you're listening to this and when you're watching this should be, well, how do I become the influencer? And don't get this twisted. I'm not talking about a social media influencer. If that's the route you want to pursue, great, do it. But you could be an influencer in real life. And let me give you an example of how you could do that. This is a message I got, and I didn't even ask him if I could share this, so I'm not going to say his name or the department he works for. But he listens to the podcast. He sent me this on Instagram this morning at 7:22 a.m. Hey, man, I hope all is well. I also hope that you read this. I am a cop in blank, and today on patrol, a car was double parked, and I turned my overhead lights on. A girl came out the car crying and said, I'm just sitting here having a bad day talking to my friend. And my response was, I don't care. I just need to get through. Man, I felt like such a D-bag. Afterwards and immediately, I remembered what you and Ryan said in a podcast. You never know what people are going through. And so I felt so convicted to go back and apologize. And I made the block and stopped her and said, hey, I'm sorry for the way that I acted. That's so not me. Dude, she had the biggest smile on her face and she told me I made her night. Sometimes we as cops forget the impact we have on others.
Wow.
So when we talk about influence, you could be the influence, right? Like there are people out there that are being fed this false information that police officers are evil, that police officers are racist. So what's our job as police officers? To show people that that's not true. It would be so easy for us to be attacked because we are being attacked to the point where our lives are in danger now, right? It would be so easy for us to see what's going on in the world and put our guard up and not let anyone near us, not talk to anybody. But where is that going to get us? And who are we allowing to control the narrative when it comes to law enforcement at that point?
Yep.
So what I need you to do as a law enforcement officer, or what I need you to do as a person who has the ability to think outside of the box, right? Because if you're listening to this podcast, that tells me enough about who you are. So what I need you to do who's listening to this is to find a way to control the narrative. And I'm not saying control it in a persuasive way, right? Like people automatically assume that because I post positive policing on my Instagram that it's propaganda, right? Well, he is controlling the narrative. He just wants people to believe that cops are positive. Wrong. I am posting things that I do every single day when the camera's not on. That's the difference. So when I say you need to go out and you need to control the narrative, that's what I mean. You need to hold the steering wheel. You need to put your foot on the gas and you need to show people. Imagine if those two girls in that car from the story I just shared hated the police. And when that officer showed up, said what he said, he only solidified their thoughts, only to return a few minutes later and completely destroy everything that's been set up in their minds about police officers. It took me one positive police interaction to forever change my life. One. Imagine if you're out there doing it every single day. The cards are stacked against us. There's no secret. The cards are stacked against us. It seems like the world itself wants us to lose. We can't allow that. We cannot allow that. We can't allow, because while they're being force-fed information, guess what? You're being force-fed. You're being force-fed information that the world hates us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in
Yep.
so many different group chats with police, and the majority of those group chats have been nothing but, oh, this officer got hurt, this officer got prosecuted, this officer's getting arrested, and it's negative, 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 negative. But yet, since I'm blessed enough, right? Because I truly believe that God took me off Facebook because I am
Yep.
so clear, crystal clear thinking right now.
Yep.
I'm blessed enough to not have this stuff force fed to me right now. I'm seeing with 2020 vision, right? I'm having community members call me and text me. I'm talking community members in the hood. I'm talking about community members who live across the dope spot and have their entire lives. They're calling me and being like, well, AJ, we miss you. Can you come back to work? I wave at every cop car. My son shakes every police officer's hand every time he walks by him. When I'm walking the streets, I'm seeing cop cars waving at people and waving back. That's the reality of the world we live in. But you have to protect your mind. You have to protect your mind. And we talk about going on Google and doing this research. Forget all of that. I'm beyond all of that. It helps to go out and do that research, but do your real life research. Go out into the world and know what's really going on.
Yep. Go talk to the source. And, bro, man, AJ just stepped off stage right there, man. I got to give my man a towel because he went in right there.
I'm hurt, bro. I already know what people are going to say. Well, you're only hurt because of one of your own got killed. No, I'm hurt because the lack of compassion and the lack of love. Like, Ryan, you sent me that video, the dude recording it. All the cops out here getting aired out. Like, that's the world we live in? Come on.
Bro. And the sad part about it was he was like, oh, look at him. He over there taking a knee and stuff like, bro, like, seriously, like, what happened to the days where we would just go over there and help people out and we saw them in distress? But now what we decided to do is we go and take our phone out when we see people in distress. And that's the sad thing is that phone ain't going to help nobody. That phone. And the sad thing is you have people argue the fact was, well, this phone is going to help people because I'm going to expose the world to all this so-called police brutality. It's like, no, you're doing people a disservice. I'm going to share with you. I don't know if I shared it on the podcast last week. I think I told Billy this story. But last week, we had a situation where a guy was driving a stolen vehicle in our city. Did I talk about this last week or no? About doing a high-risk traffic stop?
I think so, yeah. I think so. But go ahead. Go ahead, though.
And the family, I know I talked about it yesterday when we were in here. So anyways, long story short, if you guys heard it last week, you guys will hear it again. If you guys didn't, then great. So last week there was a stolen vehicle driving through our city. We went and pulled it over, and what we do anytime we do stolen vehicles, we always treat it as a high-risk traffic stop just because we don't know who's inside, what they're doing, if they have any weapons or anything. So anyways, we do this high-risk traffic stop. What a high-risk traffic stop is, if you're not familiar with law enforcement, we pull our guns out, everybody's basically surrounding them, and we basically call them out, give them instructions to step out of the car, put their hands in the air, drop down on their knees, take them into custody, and then we search the car, make sure everything is good. Well, as we're doing this, it just so happens that it's in an apartment complex where, like, everybody and their mom came out. Like, everybody's outside right now because they pulled over in a parking stall in the complex. I'm like, oh, great. So as we're out there, there's a whole bunch of hecklers out there. Oh, police are this, police are that. Oh, why you guys got to do that? Why you guys got your guns out? Blah, 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 blah. Just on and on and on. We're all professional. We're doing what we got to do. So long story short, as we're doing this, the suspect's aunt comes out with his cousin because they live in the apartment complex. So they're standing there watching their nephew being taken out at gunpoint, all this other stuff. So we get him into custody successfully. We search the car. Everything goes good. So as we do that, or after we do that, I see his aunt over there just standing by, just like wondering what's going on. So one of the things, and if you're a police officer listening to this, don't ever underestimate the power of being transparent and keeping it real with people and just having dialogue with people. So I went over there. I was like, let me just kind of let them know what's going on. Don't be that guy, that officer, hey, you got to wait till this investigation is over before we come and talk to you. Or, hey, he's grown, he's an adult, he can tell you if he wants to. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. It's very simple to go over there and be like, hey, you know what? Man, this is what's going on. Your nephew, he's driving a stolen vehicle. He can tell you why he thinks he was wrong or right, whatever. But all I'm doing is like, this is why we're out here. This is why we had to pull him out like we do. There's dangers associated with people that drive stolen vehicles, yada, yada, yada. So as I walk up to go tell them all this stuff, the first thing they do is they look at my name badge. They're like, Tillman? I was like, yeah, I'm Tillman. They're like, oh man, like, man, we follow all the work you're doing. Man, we see all the videos, all the Tillman takes you do. Man, I just want to let you know that we respect you so much, man. And those Tillman takes have helped me out so much. They were like, man, now that we know you're out here, man, we feel so much better about it. They're like, we feel so good about this. And what's funny is that they're telling me this. You got the hecklers that are watching this dialogue with me and them going on. They're like, who's this cat? So then they're like, hey, can you take a picture with us? I was like, yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
So then they gave the phone to the hecklers, the one that were out there bad mouthing us.
Yep.
They're actually now taking this picture of me and the
Yep.
people. And they're like, and then they start being cool with me. They're like, hey, how you doing, officer? Like, what's going on? Like, okay, we understand it. So the reason I bring that up is because that's what you call influence. That's what you call influence. Like that's what you call, because of an influence, that influence led to de-escalation. And that de-escalation is what led to the relationship that I now have with those people. Not only do I have a relationship with them moving on, but it helps our fellow partners out there. So when I do take criticism from people in law enforcement, I'm like, this is why I do what I do. This is why I do the Tillman takes. Not because I'm out there trying to get a following and get the blue check like AJ got and become a celebrity like AJ, but because I really want to go out there and establish relationships, good old-fashioned relationships and dialogue with people, because that's what changes society.
That's it.
And to see that happen, and it was just priceless. And the last thing I'm going to say is this. I'm going to read a message yesterday. And this, and again, talking about influence. I don't know if this is screen recording, Billy. I hope not. But if
No,
it is,
I can't see nothing except a black square.
So it says, hello, Ryan. I am from South Africa, and people have the same situation is going on it says, hello, Ryan. I am from South Africa, and people have the same situation is going on everywhere now, all because most people in Africa look up to Americans, and it's really sad. Since the situation about BLM started early this year, I made it my priority to stop and say hello to every police officer I see on the road here in South Africa. 2 years ago, a friend of mine was hijacked while he was blasting F the police in his car, and boom, he called the police, and they got to his car, and they got his car back for him. Then he had to stop listening to that hardcore rap and hip hop. Then he realized last year that he had became even better dad to his kids after he had stopped listening to that hardcore rap and hip hop. Most of the things we listen to these days takes humanity away from us, and it's really sad. Kids listen to musicians and celebrities online much more than they listen to the president or even inventors. No more motivation for good anymore. Human mind is preoccupied by these things, and it won't stop if we don't change what and who we listen and look up to. Bro, that was from a person in South Africa who, because he listened to us and our podcast, is going out there and also being influential himself. And I said this on the last episode. You don't need to have 1 million followers. You don't need to have a TV show. You don't need to have a podcast, quite frankly.
You don't even need to be on social media.
No. All you need is your voice.
That's it.
All you need is your voice. That's it. That's
Yep.
all you need to change the dialogue and change the perspective and perception of people. That's all you need. You don't need nothing special.
Yep. I could go to the worst area on my precinct where I work. And keep in mind, my precinct is activated, right? Like that's the term they use. We activated. They get busy. I mean, murderers, drug dealers, you name it, right? Like just bad people, right? Or people placed in bad situations who continuously make bad decisions, whichever you prefer. And I could get out my car and sit on the corner with them for an hour. I won't get cussed out. Won't nobody say nothing crazy to me. And they'll sit there and chop it up with me. You know why? Because I've invested my time in the community. And that's what I mean. Like, and I don't want this to turn into look at us. Look, because I know some people are going to take it that way. Like, we're just telling you examples, success stories, personal success stories, in hopes that it will motivate you to try something different. You don't even have to try what we're doing, but just to try something different. I'm good. No matter where I'm at, where I work, like I'm good. I could be by myself in a patrol car, hop out on somebody, and could be wrestling around in the middle of the street with the baddest dude in the city. And guess what's gonna happen? People gonna come out and help me. You know why? Because I've controlled the narrative by my actions, right? Imagine you constantly being told, AJ's a bad guy, AJ's a bad guy, AJ's a bad guy. But every time you turn around, all you see me is doing, I'm doing nothing but good stuff. You're going to be like, well, clearly they're lying, right? That's what we're talking about here. People are constantly being told the police are this, the police are this, the police are this. So in return, when they turn around, we have to show them. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm over here giving kids dollars to go to the corner store to get some snacks. I'm over here playing curveball with the kids. I'm over here at the barbecue bringing food so they could cook more food. And so I could get some grub and chill with them and break bread with them. When people start seeing that, it's going to debunk all the rest of this negativity and this false narrative that people are force feeding us. And it's funny because, you know, the more I talk about this, the more I realize that we take caution in what we physically eat because we care about our health, right? Like, all right, I'm getting up there. I got to start eating my veggies and I got to start taking my multivitamins. You know, shout out to
Similac.
Blue Light. Shout out to Thin Line Anthem. You know, I got to take my fish oil and all of that. But we don't take caution to what we mentally feed ourselves, which ultimately has more power, right? You could be in the best shape in the world, but be a wreck in your head and live a miserable life. Or you could be in shape, but be crystal clear in the head and live an amazing life. I would rather you be both. But what I'm saying is, as a society, you know, we take so much caution as, you know, oh, you can't eat that. That's processed, or this got this in it. You can't do that, or, you know, you got to drink more water, which is good. We want to be healthy, right? Healthy mind, healthy body equals a healthy mind, but not all the time. We need to be cautious about what we're being fed mentally, because that controls who you are. Yeah. That really controls who you are.
Yep.
So take back your mind. And as a police officer, I need you to take back your mind as well. Because I know a lot of police officers out there feel like, you know, we can't do anything right and the world's against us. And I get it. I feel like that sometimes myself as well. But trust me when I say this, no matter what area you live in, no matter what the demographic is, like, your community supports you. It's a very small percentage of people who are controlling this narrative right now. So what I need you to do out there is go out there and be yourself. Go out there and be positive. Go out there and bring hope to people, right? You're coming in these communities that sometimes have no hope, no inspiration, no father figures, no mother figures. Go out there and be that. And watch the tides change before your eyes.
They will, man. And it's funny, man. We got into a use of force last week with a guy. He had actually assaulted 3 people at a mental health hospital, and he was there. We also had him for criminal threats against his ex-girlfriend, and a black guy. And I say race because right now everything right now in society is race motivated. Yep. Race matters, and I'm saying race because the way we dealt with this, you know, it could have easily been one of those other videos. But long story short, we went in there and we went to go take this guy into custody, and as soon as we go to take him into custody, before I already knew he was going to kind of get combative, so I kind of gave us a plan. I said, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. So we went in there, take him into custody, and sure enough, the dude like started turning away to go run away from us, and we grabbed his arms, and the fight was on, bro. Like we weren't like physically punching this dude, but luckily we grabbed a hold of his arms early, and he was trying to pull away, and he was saying like, nah, like I'm not going with y'all, I'm not. And so and dude was strong. He was a big dude. So we were able to get handcuffs on him, but then he started kicking us. He was spitting at us. He was turning his head, trying to spit in our face. So we had to throw a spit sock on him because, again, he's spitting in our face. So then he's like kicking, trying to kick officers and everything. So we get him on the ground. We had to throw a hobble on his legs. And next thing you know, in a matter of about 5 minutes, you got 3 officers, and one with a knee on a guy's back, me. And now all of a sudden, that quickly, I have a video that now could mimic the one of George Floyd or something like that, right? But me, being me, I'm like, hey, bro, this is what we're doing, man. Chill out, man. Calm down. It's okay. I'm trying to find ways to develop rapport with this guy. I see he has a Martin Luther King tattoo on his chest. Start talking to him about that. And I'm like, start making him laugh. Like, man, you kind of, and then he had his property bag next to him. I was like, you got a Louis, because he had like a Louis bag or some
Louis Duffel.
He had like a Louis Duffel or some Louis slides or there. I was like,
Gotcha.
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I see you with the Louis slides. He was like, man, that ain't real. I was like, hey, bro, fake it till you make it, baby. So he started laughing and stuff like that. He was like, I was like, fake it till you make it. I was like, ain't nothing wrong with the Louis Vuitton.
That's
and
right.
He was cracking up. So like, but you could tell he got to start getting to a place where he was laughing, but he still wanted to be angry though.
Yep.
And so he was like, so then I was like, man, dog, you strong, bro. I was like,
oh
dog,
yeah,
like, I was like, you a football player or something? Like, he was like, man, I'm a hooper. But then he tries to go back to being mad and stuff. I was like, man, I was like,
I'll dunk on you.
I'll cross you over right now.
Yep.
He was like, nah, you won't, something like that. So he was like, man, watch my highlight tape. So then as we're doing, mind you, as we're doing this, we're putting a hobble on this dude. Yep. And I have my knee on his back. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, hey, bro, can you breathe? He's like, no, I can't breathe. I was like, all right, cool, bro. Like, this is what we're going to do. As soon as you calm down, man, we're just going to put this hobble on. We're going to turn you over to your side so that way you can breathe a little bit. Mm-hmm. All right? He was like, so then gradually he starts to calm down and I start talking. Next thing I know, I'm having a conversation with him about him hooping in high school, how he's a dope hooper, how he, that why he got the Martin Luther King tattoo. So then we go and my sergeant goes and do an interview and I saw the video of it last night. And literally my man is sitting on a gurney with a spit sock on his face. Mm-hmm. And the sergeant asked a question because it's like a use of force review. He's like, hey man, so like, so were my officers rude to you? Did they hurt you? He was like, nah, man, your officers were actually cool, man. Yep. He was like, he started putting the blame on the hospital staff. He was like, man, but the hospital staff though, he was like, but man, your officers were cool. And so my point in saying that is like, we have the ability to control our own narratives. Yep. We have the ability to be our own influence. And so you don't need these huge platforms. And that could have easily been, I could have got in my feelings because he wasn't doing what I was telling him to do. I could have got in my feelings because he's just another person that's a part of the problem.
Right.
And now I'm doing something like Chauvin was doing and doing and keeping my knee on his back because in mere contempt of cop as opposed to, you know what I mean, me trying to help this dude out. But no, I didn't allow that crap to get to me. I still treat him like a human being, which is what I referred to in my video yesterday is we got to return to humanity. Yep. We got to get away from the sides. We got to get away from the thin blue line and Black Lives Matter. We got to get away from the Republican and Democrat. We got to return to just simple humanity because humanity is what will restore our society.
Yep. No, absolutely, man.
Absolutely, passionate episode right there. So, man, guys, this has been a phenomenal episode. Again, we weren't going to miss out on the opportunity to come and talk to y'all today.
Yeah, and my fault. Had
to do a bootleg.
My fault for the day late. I'll take full blame on that.
Bro. You definitely had a justified reason. I got Billy in here taking pictures of me, bro. Saying how did you see your phone? I did
because you look like a little cartoon character. You look like you got a hole in your sock too. Man, like Sunday you can't wear your holy socks.
Hey, make sure you give our group a post, Billy, on our Instagram. If you guys aren't doing so now, follow our Instagram. It's the podcast page.
Please,
We I think we're at like 600 followers in like a week, so that's good. So again, the reason we do that, and I'll turn to you, AJ. The reason we do that is because we want you guys to have a drawing board to send people to or to send people videos of how you feel. Because I've noticed sometimes you don't know how to express how you feel to the rest of the world. And sometimes I've learned me and AJ can kind of convey that message for you. So we really want that podcast or that podcast page to be a resource for you guys. So do that. I'm going to take a picture of Billy's shirt today. Bro, he has a shirt on. What's it called? Blues?
It's from the show Arrested Development, Bluth's Banana Stand.
Bro, I could have swore when I saw it, I thought it said Blunt's Banana Stand.
Billy do got a little swag to him, so he might be
every day
lighting up that spliff. I don't know. Y'all are in Cali. I'm just saying.
Hey, it's legal out here, bro. It's legal. Folks be smoking out. Hey, what were you going to say about the podcast page?
No, I was just going to say that, that's just another form of controlling the narrative as well, and like controlling like what you're being fed. So, there are a lot of people out there who choose to only follow like certain accounts And when you do things such as following, and don't get me wrong, like don't take us the wrong, like this ain't like a shameless plug for our podcast. Like this is for any page that's pumping out similar content. We would love for you to come to our page. But what you do when you follow pages such as our podcast page and our personal pages is you disrupt the system just a little bit. And when you continuously do that, you'll disrupt it enough to where you're not being constantly fed the negativity and you're not constantly being controlled. Don't get me wrong, they're still going to have some influence over you no matter what, as long as you're using the applications. But you might as well follow the right pages. That way, when you open up these applications, there's at least a larger chance that you'll see something positive. Or see something real, see something from somebody that you trust. So definitely check out our page. And, we always on there clowning anyway. And since your boy ain't on Facebook, that's where I'm at now. I'm on IG. So I posted a little video
and we'll get back to you on IG.
Oh, yeah. They be lighting me up on IG. So definitely check us out. And we're going to come up with some projects for y'all to, share some of your stuff on our page as well, maybe. And, just to be more interactive.
We can actually do lives now. We can actually do Instagram lives with our podcast followers.
Think about that. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yep.
So I just thought about that right now. So get final nuggets, bro. And the reason I'm doing final nuggets is because of you, because of our audience, because of our fans, people have reached out and said they really truly appreciate the nuggets that we give at the end, man. So final nuggets, AJ.
Man, my final nuggets would be just remain who you are. Like, don't allow the world or what seems to be the world to control and change who you are as a person. Also, don't allow the uniform to change who you are as a person. If you're passionate about inner city youth, right? Like helping out disadvantaged youth. Go out there and be passionate about that while in your uniform. A lot of people say, well, I don't have time, AJ, like I'm so busy. And my rebuttal to that is, yes, you do. You definitely have time. Like, do you have a lunch break? How you go 45 minutes for your lunch break? Then I tell you what, go to Little Caesars, get that $5 challah, get 4 large pizzas.
$5 challah.
You get 4 large pizzas. That's $20. You could afford that. You're a police officer. And go to a park with 4 large pizzas to open them up and watch people watch kids start walking over to you. Right. There's always a way. But most of all, I want you to remember this, and that is protect your mental space. Protect your mental space. Like if you feel attacked and you feel like the world's like just constantly against you, it's going to change who you are and it's going to change your actions. And ultimately it's going to solidify those people's thoughts, right? Because people are going to try to have conversations with you. Some people are going to try to have conversations with you to find out if it's true or not. And you're going to be so guarded that you're not going to be willing to have that conversation, which is really going to solidify the way that they think. So just remain true to who you are. And don't let people question your character. You know who you are. You know why you took this job. You know why you do what you do. Just remind the world of that. And please, before anything, please be safe. Please be safe. Go out here and do these things, but be safe. Before anything else, be safe. Be safe, please.
You know what? I just gotta, maybe next time what we'll do, that was great nuggets, AJ, but maybe next time what I'm thinking is we should actually do a challenge with each other, like a limit our screen time challenge, with our members, like limit our social media screen time.
See if we can get the
least, yeah, because we're being fed so much negativity. So I guess my ending nugget is this: don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Everybody's putting out negative stuff about police. They're putting negative stuff out about humanity. I mean, just don't believe the hype. Go out there, live life every single day like you would want to see life out of your own lens. You know what I mean? Go out there, be the person, be the change that you want to see. I know it sounds cliche, but it's really that simple. We don't got to make it overly complicated. Just go out there, be the person you want to see. I mean, it says in the great book itself, it says go out there and and treat people how you want to be treated. Simple as that. You know what I mean? You do that, you'll be fine. So I'm led real quick to do a quick prayer. I know people really appreciate the prayers. We ain't done that in a while, so let's do a quick prayer before we get out of here. So, dear Heavenly Father, we come before you, and I just ask that you would just be with all of our listeners and podcast guests, and just watch over them as they're trying to navigate through this troublesome times in our society. I ask that you would just really calm everybody's nerves and their spirits and give them peace, Lord. Everybody has anxiety right now. Everybody has anxiety. I don't care if you're the strongest person or the weakest person, but everybody's finding themselves in a place where they have anxiety because of this election, because of this divide between Black Lives Matter and the Thin Blue Line. You name it, Lord Jesus. There's so many ways that the enemy has come in and just tried to divide us as a people. So I would ask that not only that you would give them peace and remove the anxiety, but that you would also allow us to draw closer to you and seek our wisdom from you, seek our knowledge from you, and really just be fervent in our prayer to you, Lord, so that way we can get the answers that we need to this thing that we have called life. So allow us to cherish every moment of it. Allow us to just take joy in just having a breath of life every single day, because we realize that's a blessing. And so you may be somebody out there that's listening to this podcast, and if you are, I want you to know that God loves you more than you know. You may be suffering from depression. You may be suffering from that anxiety. I know suicide rates for police officers are all-time high, but not just policing in general, but the entire nation suicide rates are up. So if you are that person that's listening to this message is specifically for you. Know that God loves you no matter, even if nobody else loved you, God loved you. You matter to him. He takes joy and comfort in knowing that you are one of his servants and that you are one of his children. And so I want you to know that to continue to stay in the fight, continue to go out there and be that light that you've always been. Take that cover off of that light. I know people put that cover on that light. Take it off and go out there and continue to light up the world like you know how to do. So, Lord, I ask that you restore our followers, restore our guests, restore our friends, restore our families, restore our relationships at the workplace, you name it, and bring us all back to you, so that way we know we can continue to go out there and preach this gospel that you created. We love you and thank you for it in your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
On that note, y'all, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all sticking around to our bootleg recording, but we still put it out there because that's what we do. Hey, give us a 5-star rating, but I need a favor from y'all. I need y'all to go out there and give us some really good reviews, so that way that person that left us that bad review, I'm going to send every single one of the good reviews y'all said, I'm going to just send to him directly, so that way he knows. He knows what's really up.
And share this with your friends. Share this on your social media and help disrupt the system.
Yep. Shout out to Thin Line Anthem for being our podcast sponsor. We couldn't be producing this podcast without you guys. So if you guys haven't already done so, go on to thinlineanthem.com and make sure you use make sure you use promo code It's Needed, all caps, no spaces. So that way you can go ahead and get discounts to their supplements, their pre-workouts, proteins, you name it. It will help you create for a better body. When you have a better body, you have a better mind. Thanks again, guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.